Hello everyone, Atkpwr here with another How to Play the Division series here with 2nd Infantry Indianhead. If you guys enjoyed this, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe for more Steel Division 2 content along with Gates of Hell and WARNO, and consider checking out that Patreon link down below and following me over on Instagram. Let's dive right into this thing. So 2nd Indianhead, once considered the most terrifying division in the game, the division is still quite strong. It got nerfed in several small ways, then it actually kind of got rebuffed a little bit with the recent 50 cal buff. So it's in a good spot. I mean, it has been. It's never actually really been bad. At one point, it was S tier plus. Now it's definitely a solid A tier. And based on the bans in League, most people think of it still as S tier. It still holds a lot of fear, mostly because the division doesn't really contain any significant weaknesses. And we notice that as a pretty common trend for divisions that are well feared and respected. They just don't have any easily exploitable weakness. Taking this into queue, you're never going to be like, oh crap, I didn't have a tool for this. If you build the deck right? If you build the deck to handle the quick play queue or ranked where you don't know what you're walking into, then you can have a tool for every situation. You're never like, oh, I can't do anything about that. And that's what makes this division really strong. I am building it balanced here because you absolutely can. You can also build it more aggressively on a Vanguard or a Maverick, and most of the time in these kind of decks, that's kind of how it is because you have so many tools, you can build it any way you want. But of course, I'm going to be sticking with that beautiful balanced income because it's still my love and joy. Let's dive into this thing. Recon tab, actually a little bit limited. There's a lot of tools here you could take, and there's just not really room for it. The only thing we're taking here are the Ranger Marauders. These guys are phenomenal. They have a bazooka. They have commando. They have a Willy Pete flame grenade. They, of course, have the recon. The main use of these, and they come in double vet, automatically like vet locked into double vet. They're pretty fantastic. The main reason we're taking them is the bazooka. They are our AT. They are like the AT unit for us. It's a ballsy play. I'm not a huge fan of it. I kind of wish I just had some regular recon because these guys will be getting used more aggressively, right, to like hunt down tanks and stuff. But it really does save us some slots elsewhere and allows us to bring in some other units. So that's why that's all we're bringing here. Units, we're not taking the Jeep. You know, the 50 cal again, only 750 meter range. This gets shot by regular infantry and just dies. Recon, I'm not against it. It's not that I don't want this in here. It's just I would prefer the Ranger Marauders. Scouts, I really don't prefer this one. Sniper, I would like the Sniper. Like if I was going to take another unit, it would probably be the Sniper. The M8 is very tempting as well. The M8 is excellent at 90 kilometers an hour. It blasts in at the beginning of the game. It's got radio. It can kill things relatively well, especially at double vet because you end up with that 10 rounds a minute on 70 millimeters penetration. And this thing has a 50 cal. And if a unit has a 50 cal, then it's automatically good. You know, if I had to force a unit in here, it would be the M8. And a lot of times we do see players bring the M8 in this 2-point slot here. I'm not this time because I'm not playing the deck super aggressively. So I don't think this in A is going to have a huge effect. But I would 100% understand someone rejiggering their division in order to contain this unit because it is very good. There's no question the M8 is a very efficient unit that can be very annoying at the beginning. And we've seen it many times absolutely just break people over its knee with its annoyingness, reconly goodness. The infantry tab, which should be the mainstay of this division, it does do a relatively good job of it. So a big buff to this division actually recently was the commando trait, which was slapped onto all the ranger units in this division. And that made these rangers, which used to be really not good, like this was just not a very good unit. It died relatively easy. The grease gun is not an incredible submachine gun. It's one of the worst ones, I think, actually. Like, it's just one of the worst submachine guns in the game. You know, the Thompson's very good, but the grease gun was bad. So this unit was very lackluster. Like, it just was not very good. But now with the commando trait, this thing's pretty cracked. I mean, you got to be careful. Like, at 20 points, this outfights basically all the other 20-point flamer squads in the game because of that commando trait. And it's got a nice meaty 6 units on, like 6 men on it. Which is bigger than like the 5-man team that we see in several like Hungarian divisions and stuff. But yeah, the commando trait coming in at double vet. These guys actually do a lot of work now. I actually changed things up to make sure to add these back in when I rebuilt the deck for this video. They're just a very good unit now. So I have that in A and B phase. Then we have these Rangers LMG also coming in with that beautiful commando trait there. Double M1919 light machine gun here and some M1 Garands. 6 men, it's not a big squad, but because of the commando trait, they tend to stay alive really long. despite their size. So using these in early game to support your rifles early is really helpful, and kind of a key part of keeping you alive in A phase is this unit right here. Then we have an engineer leader. Let's really quick go over the leaders. Let's make sure we have the right leader in here. 25 points comes with radio. Let's see our ranger leader here. 20 points, which is better, but is forced double vet and you only get 2. I really don't like only having 2 leaders on a card. I just find it to be kind of card inefficient. And again, there's, as I talk about in a lot of these videos, there's kind of like 3 lanes in every single game. There's like 3 sections of the maps: left, center, mid, left, center, right, excuse me. So only having 2 leaders means you're kind of short a leader to cover off the entire map. So that's why I don't like that one. Then the rifles leader. This one is probably, I mean, it is the best one. It comes with a bazooka. It comes with a sniper. It's by far the best one. It's got 8. But once again, we have this 2-man problem. It only comes with 2. If this was 3, I would 100% take this rifles leader. But again, only getting 2 is really actually a big bummer. But I can definitely understand an argument for taking this simply because of its bazooka. The sniper's nice, but not really the main focus here. The snipers, the bazooka is what you want, right? For saving your infantry from cheeky armored cars and things. But with only 2 leaders, I'm not a fan of that. But I do understand taking that. I'm not saying it's wrong. It's just not what I'm doing here. So definitely something to consider. And then we have a card of the rifles early. You cannot bring the rifles late in. They are phase locked to be in C phase. So you're forced to take the rifles early, which truthfully for 25 points are solid. At 12 men, the M1 Garand is like the best rifle in the game, essentially. I'm trying to think if any other rifle's better. I really don't think so. I don't think the SVT or the G43 are better. I think this one is pretty noticeably stronger than those two, because those are the semi-automatic rifles in the game. I'm trying to think. I'm not counting like the FG42 and stuff, because those are automatic rifles and things. Yeah, I think this is the best one. So getting 11 of those, actually, these guys actually put out a really fair amount of damage for having rifles. And the BAR is a solid automatic rifle. It's not the best. It's not the worst. It's nice in the middle of the pack, and it definitely gets the job done well. Getting into B phase, you then unlock your rifles late. These guys are really solid. They're 12 men, very similar, but these come with a Thompson and 2 BARs, and that's definitely a big upgrade having the 2 BARs. These guys hit pretty good. Their vet curve is not phenomenal. They actually come in with a little bit low on like the availability other than C phase. So we have a card in B and a card in C. The C phase card is unvetted for that balanced long game fun in the queue. Like I said, I have another ranger card here, and then we have a card of engineers. Engineers are their grenade tosser. They're only 9 men. They are 25 points, but we're bringing them in the M3A1 half track, and these are fantastic half tracks. They're basically the best half track in the game with their 50 cal and stuff. Engineers, just like many grenade throwing units in the game, like Pioneer-esque engineer units, they're fine. They're not incredible, but they're fine. And you do need more CQC. I would say if this division had a big weakness, big in air quotes, the CQC is a little bit lacking. Having only 10 ranger squads as like really good CQC is not overwhelming, and it does dry up really fast. Getting into C phase, you do get the demolition group, which does have the flamethrower, which is nice. But it's still not an actual CQC unit, right? Most of the weapons in this division, in this squad here, are M1 Garands, which, while much better than your average rifle, are still not submachine guns. So the damage output of this unit is actually not phenomenal at CQC. So while this unit does have a flamethrower and you will use it as a CQC unit, it's not like an overwhelmingly good CQC unit. The things we're not taking: assault squad. Grease guns are really bad, so having a squad made up of mostly grease guns is really not doing it, and they also don't come in until B phase. Basics, there used to be an argument for them, and maybe there still is. At 20 points, you get 12 of them. Yeah, they can put out some good damage, but they don't have any machine gun or anything, and yeah, I'm not saying don't take them. I'm just not taking them. I would just prefer the rifles early for something a little bit more substantial. Talked about the leaders already. There's another card of engineers, so if you really want some more CQC stuff, you could probably squeeze them into A phase or something like that. Tank tab here. Not much to do with this. You have the M5A1 Stuarts. Not a huge fan of these, although for their price, they are very good support weapons with the triple Brownings on them. But they basically like insta-die to most tanks. Their 70mm penetration is okay, but very lackluster, and it's really that rate of fire that really kills them. I almost feel like you'd bring them in double vet to get them up to 10 rounds a minute to make them okay. Otherwise, they're really they're really not that great. So then you're up to your M4A1s. M4A1s are the worst version of the Sherman. They're really not that good. They have lower armor, but they still have the giant suite of destructive machine guns that basically decimate any soft target in the game. So yes, they're still a great support tank. There's absolutely nothing wrong with taking them. The vet curve is pretty bad though at 642, so double vetting really hurts this unit, so that's why you don't really double vet this very often. And the truth is the unit is not strong enough that it's really worth double vetting it, because it's not going to kill many tanks anyway, so the extra rate of fire and stuff doesn't help you all that much. You're literally using this unit to support your infantry. This is a support tank. This is for chopping down enemy infantry and guns and things like that, not really fighting tanks. In B phase, though, we do have a card of M4A1 Rhino. Now, this thing is very solid. It's the same gun and everything, so there's no upgrade there, but your armor jumps all the way up to 120 millimeters of armor, and that makes this thing substantially more difficult to kill, and it actually gives it the time to sometimes beat the Axis armor, right? Because they pen 135. Your 90 millimeter penetration gun struggles to pen a Stug because that Stug has 90 millimeters of armor. So if you're not up close, you're not doing great. But the idea with these things, they're really fast aim time. You pop them in and out of buildings or forests. You take your shot at the enemy armor and you back off, and you hope that your armor is enough to bounce the shell that return fires if they get a chance to return fire at all. So yeah, Rhinos you absolutely take. You never leave these at home. Otherwise, you're building this deck wrong. And then we're bringing a C phase card of Shermans for the spam. Yep, we don't need 18. That's a little much. The 1 veterancy is helpful for getting that accuracy above 50%, which is definitely nice. And then, you know, making all your things fire a little bit faster, of course, is very helpful. To the support tab, which is a very strong tab with a lot of options here. You can build this a lot of different ways. I'm taking the flamethrowers. We need extra CQC. Even these little 2-man teams can make the difference here. Taking the 50 cal, of course, because it's a 50 cal and it's the most powerful thing ever. Don't leave these at home. You're a fool if you do. Yeah, they're absolutely phenomenal. Then we're taking both cards of the M3 Howitzer, the 105s. These guys are fantastic. If you saw the recent game of Chai-Chan using and abusing these, I would be shocked if you're not taking at least one card of these. The argument is between the second card or the M4A3 Sherman here. Assault gun. The problem is the assault gun's locked to A phase. You only get 2 of them. They're 15 points more. The damage output is technically the same, right? But the howitzer fires faster, right? It's the same gun, but this one fires faster. Does it for 15 points less. Yes, the Sherman does move around, but I don't think it's worth the lower availability. The lower availability, the higher cost, the gun firing more slowly. The machine guns on this are kind of pointless because you don't want this thing to ever be within 750 meters of an enemy, right? You're using it as 2K support. So you're sitting it at 1750, 2000 preferably, and you're trying to pick off enemy stuff with it. So it's very rare that the machine guns come into play. So I just don't feel a strong enough pull to have this in the deck, but I would 100% understand putting this over like the A phase card of the M3 howitzers, bringing the B phase card in anyway. You still have about the same amount of 2K, except one of them is mobile. I 100% understand the argument for that, that flexibility there if you want that. Commander, these other ones are not good. Definitely not this one. I would never, ever, ever, ever take this one. Ever, ever. The M20 Commander, a little more bearable, but I still would never, ever, ever take this over just taking an infantry one for 10 points less. And it actually has, I think, more survivability than these. These guys get hit by like one arty shell and they will just die. It's really quite bad, especially this one. Like, just never, ever take this, ever. Can't say that enough. Any commander like this, you should never be taking. Supply, extremely important because your arty doesn't come with supply, so it is 100% you cannot leave supply out of this tab. Things we're also not taking Crocodile. I don't think we need it. Your problem is killing enemy tanks, not keeping your tanks alive per se. So yes, while this is solid, at this point the slots cost 4. It's really tough to fit this in. The Ranger T30 used to be really, really good. I forget if it actually received a nerf or not, but we don't really see it much nowadays. It's still a solid unit. It's forced double vet in A, which is actually pretty good with 4 availability. So it is getting 10 rounds a minute, but it's actually generally just worse than most other HE weapons. The heat shell is actually quite good at 37% accuracy and 10 rounds a minute. Like, that's actually the draw of this weapon is the heat shell. But I don't know. It just doesn't fit. There's just so much you want in this, and there's so many options here. The Ranger just kind of comes up a little short. Anti-tank tab. A lot of fun choices here. We have the M1 gun, 57 mil. It's basically a 6-pounder without the APCR. And that is what it is. It's a 6-pounder without the APCR there. We're bringing M10 A1 card here. In A phase, they come with the almighty American APCR shell. What you want to do is bring in like a supply truck and sit it behind 2 of these M10s, and then the M10s can basically beat any tank in the game outside of a King Tiger. Even IS-2 has to be a little bit afraid of this thing. Yeah, these are absolutely phenomenal. The nuts squared have 1 and A and B phase. B phase also comes with the dreaded Hellcat coming in at 81 kilometers an hour. This thing can zip all over the map, raining APCR death upon your enemies. The problem with this unit, be very careful, it is extremely easy to kill. 1 hit from almost any tank in the game will kill this thing instantly. So be very careful. It has no armor. Everything will pen this thing. It's got no armor. Its health is very low. It dies in 1 shot. Be very careful with it, but it can be a very deadly and annoying tool in your arsenal. Then we have the M5 gun. This thing is phenomenal, sporting basically the same weapons as the M10 and stuff. You get still this beautiful M1 gun. We can see this is technically an M7 gun. Well, look, it's the same stats, right? Now, the big thing, though, is the HE on this thing, I believe, is significantly better. No, it's not significantly better. It's the same. You do get HE shells on this thing, which is definitely nice, but they only fire at 1,750 meter range. Be aware, the AP and HE on this are actually only 1,750. The 2K is the APCR, so don't be fooled. It is a very good AT gun, but it is not as powerful as it looks on paper on first glance, so be very careful with that. Anti-air, not a ton of options here. Again, if you're Chai-Chan, you take this M16 and you make it look like the greatest weapon that ever existed. For us normal, mortal folks, this thing is pretty bad. Take the Bofors. Bofors are solid. They always have been and always will be. This is a great AA piece, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with a tab full of just Bofors. Arty tab, the American Arty, is very strong. Lots of radios on basically everything. There's actually a lot of things I'm not taking here that I'd love to take. 60mm mortars are 60mm mortars. They're fantastic. I would take them if I could find room for them. 81mm mortar here is great. It's got radio, but you have the radio half track, which does the same thing and doesn't die instantly to everything. We are taking the radio mortar here. 60 rounds of ammo is pretty nuts. Actually, when you think about it, I think the German 81mm mortar counterpart has 40, and this one gets 60, and they cost the same. Any explanation for that, Eugen? No? None? Okay. Anyway, so yeah, just American goodliness, I guess. So this thing can fire for almost ever. You know, you can easily get to B phase, firing this the entire A phase and not run out of ammo. So that's why it's so good. The 105 howitzer is actually a really solid howitzer. It's got a nice 6 rounds a minute. It's got radio. It's pretty accurate on its own. This is a good howitzer. I would take it if I could find room. I actually really like this unit. Xylophone, not great. This is not a very good rocket arty. If I'm not taking rocket arty, it's not very good. This has vibes of the Katusha, just not very good. 107 mortar. I would honestly, like, if I was going to take a regular mortar, I would probably take the 107 over the 81 here. The actual round of fire difference, 8 versus 9, is minimal, and the 105 does do like a good bit more damage, which to me makes it worth it. And you also get 5 more shells, right? You end up with another round, another like barrage out of it. And then we have the dreaded 155mm long tom. Now, before you get all excited, there is not actually 8 rounds a minute. It's actually only 3. The smoke is lying to you. The HE fires slowly, yes, but this gun is pretty accurate. It lands a lot of hits at counter battery. It's a very good arty piece that lands really hard. The problem here is you can't bring it in with ammo. So you are forced to bring in ammo only from your supply tab. We definitely might run out with a B-phase supply card here. I am often tempted to actually just move this supply into C phase, but it is very possible, especially with your reliance on AT guns that require APCR, that you need the supply much sooner. I would love to have 2 supply in this support tab, but the support tab is pretty strained as it is, and that's one of the other weaknesses of the division, is that it is extremely supply reliant, and it's hard to find places to bring supply in. I'm trying to look if there's any other. I mean, I would actually consider bringing Yeah, I would actually consider bringing the 105s just for the supply. Actually, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that right now. Supply is so limited, this actually is huge. And I am going to vet this, though. It does increase the rate of fire by 1. And I don't think you need 6 of those. I think 4 is plenty, especially with the long toms, and you have the 4 in there. I think that's the right answer. So boom, there you go. Long toms. And then there's the 203. The 203 is a pretty good off-map, but you only get 2 strikes on it. And I'm just not a fan of off-map, as you well know. Air tab. Taste American firepower. American firepower equals big booms, make you cry. We're taking a P-38J here as our fighter. It is a pretty solid fighter. It goes really fast. It's got very good agility, so it does dodge AA pretty well. It's not super maneuverable, and I know I just said agility was good. Remember, folks, agility does not equal maneuverability. It actually equals dodging AA. No, this is a lie. This, like, everything about this entire right here is completely a lie, and I don't understand why Eugen keeps doing this. No, just no. There is actually no direct relation, okay? Please, guys, before you spam my comments about it, I'm telling you, because I've argued this with people who know better than me, this does not actually do what this says it does. I don't know why. I don't get it. Apparently, it just affects the ability of AA to hit this plane. So weird. I 100% understand. Now, why am I taking this over the P-47 fighter here? The P-47 is actually almost too fast. A lot of times it'll overfly its target. It's also 130 points. That's a lot. That's like a really big commitment, but it is a very good fighter. I would take either. Honestly, both work good. The medium resilience on this thing is the one that really draws me to this one. But the truth is you have the P-47 with the bombs here, which still can shoot down planes pretty easily at 580 kilometers an hour. This is a great fighter bomber. It's very expensive, but it's got a 227 kilogram bomb, which can kill most support weapons in a single go. 8 Browning machine guns is a lot of damage to put out on a plane. And it still goes 508 kilometers an hour with medium resilience. This is a fantastic fighter bomber. Our final thing we're taking here is the P-47 with the AT rockets. This is a very good AT rocket plane with 10 127mm rockets. This will generally kill most planes in a single run if unharassed. That's why it's 150 points. Still medium resilience, still coming in at 550 kilometers an hour. It is a very good plane. American planes are super good. P-38 with the rockets, I'm not taking it. It's not a bad rocket plane, actually. It's got enough rockets to do some good damage, but the bad resilience makes it die pretty easily, and it's the same issue with the bigger bomb P-38, though this does hit hard. Like, when this thing drops bombs, it's like a boom. It's very accurate because it's dive bombing, and it's got 500 kilogram bombs, and there's not a lot of dive bombers that are flying around with 500 kilogram bombs, and I know it's 454, but in-game, the boominess is very similar. Very fast, but it does seem to die quite easily, so that's why I'm taking these 3 here. Second US, a very strong division. There's really not a ton of very apparent and easily exploitable weaknesses. Honestly, when I'm up against this, I try to drill into their CQC. You can run their CQC pretty dry in terms of infantry. Like, that is very possible. Their tanks are lackluster, to say the least. M10s are actually the most dangerous thing here, not the Shermans by any stretch. But their 2K support is phenomenal, and if they keep reloading their M10s and their Hellcats, it can be really hard to get through with tanks. Their RD is really strong. You can definitely strain out their AA as well. There's not a lot of AA, so you can definitely, like, really target it down. But the problem is their RD will wipe your RD out while you're trying to do that, and that's the problem. So, yeah. Really good division. And if you guys enjoyed this, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and consider checking out that Patreon linked down below. And follow me over on Instagram. Thanks a bunch, guys, and have a fantastic day.